Whenever you're an invading country, right, with a superior military, the burden of victory is significantly higher than the defending country. That's why even when they didn't have a supreme leader, remember guys, it took them a couple weeks to get Mustafa as a supreme leader. If you don't believe me, just look at your gas prices. We just got Venezuela. We got all our own oil. Drill, baby, drill. But y'all niggas still paying twice at the pump. Okay, so here we go. Trump announces indefinite Iran ceasefire, what it means for the war. And then also, let me see what's going on X as they're running spaces on X. Okay, looks like they are. We'll join in the X space here in a little bit.
Breaking news here. There's a new statement from President Trump just posted on his Truth Social platform. He says this, quote, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Pakistani officials, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. President Donald J. Trump. Barack Ravid, I mean, how do you read between the lines of this? I mean, the president here clearly, we will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted. You were talking just at the top of the show about thinking we could see this resumption in hostilities any moment. Seems like the president is taking that off the table for now. What say you?
Well, first, we said, right, that Vice President Vance postponed his trip to Pakistan indefinitely. I think President Trump here announced that there will be a ceasefire indefinitely. He did not give any time frame for this extension of the ceasefire. And I think what we see here is what, I think we discussed, earlier in the show. President Trump wants to end the war. He did not want to resume it. He wants a diplomatic solution.
Yeah, he wants a solution because the thing is this, man. Look, guys, I hate to say this, but the reality is this, and Fox News and these other niggas are not going to admit this, but Trump has no cards, bro, okay? Trump has no political cards here. He's in a quagmire of a political situation, a war that he cannot win, because in order to win, you're going to have to put boots on the ground. Putting boots on the ground is going to be very costly, politically, militarily, economically. Loss of life will be vast and horrible. So Trump knows that the longer this war goes, the worse it is for him. The only way to win the war is to do a regime change. And we simply can't do that right now. It's that simple. We could blow up Iran all we want. That's not going to win the war. Remember, guys, do not let these idiots fool you. Wars are fought to effectuate political change. If diplomacy doesn't work, then the next step is war. The purpose of a war is to effectuate political change by force. If you cannot get said political change by force and get your strategic outcome that you're trying to get, you lost. It's that simple. The Taliban famously always used to tell everybody, the Americans, you guys have the watches, but we got all the time. Whenever you're an invading country, right, with a superior military, the burden of victory is significantly higher than the defending country. All the defending country has to do is stay alive, okay? The invading country needs to come in, kick you out, get regime change, and impose their force, okay? Very hard to do. Very, very hard to do. So you're never going to win a war by air power alone, okay? Every single military strategist will tell you this. You cannot win a war with air power alone. I'm sorry. That's just not the way it works. So what is Trump trying to do right now? He's trying to get the Strait of Hormuz back open and allow the trade that was there before to continue. My friend, anytime you're fighting for pre-war conditions, you lost the war. It's that simple. This isn't rocket science. If you're fighting or trying to negotiate for pre-war conditions, you lost the war. Destroying Iran militarily means nothing when you can't actually destroy what they're using to hurt us the most, which is the closure of the Strait of Hormuz alongside their ballistic missile program. Remember day one, they said, oh, they only have 130 launchers left. Yeah, okay. Ask the about that one. There ain't no 130 launchers, all right? And then on top of that, the intelligence community, first Trump and Hegseth said, we destroyed 90% of their military infrastructure or their ballistic missile program. Then the intelligence agencies came out and said, well, we destroyed like 50%. Bro, I doubt we destroyed 50%. I think, and Douglas McGregor says this, and I agree with Douglas McGregor, I think we've destroyed maybe 20 to 30% of their ballistic missile program. Bomboka! That's what I think, because that's their biggest weapon, and we haven't destroyed that. And there's hundreds of them all over the place, okay? So, yeah, dude, these guys are just unaware, bro, if I'm going to be honest. It's just like completely, unaware. But yeah, this war, Trump is looking for a political off-ramp, but the problem is that all the political off-ramps are going to make him look weak. That's the issue.
Richard Haas, always wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What do you make of what the president has announced here? I have to say, the language alone in this post is remarkably sober by President Trump's standards.
Well, I think what happened is people look at the implications, for example, of resuming conflict to start attacking, and we don't have essentially a serious target left anymore. Plus, renewed warfare.
Yeah, we bombed 11,000 targets, but we're still losing.
Opens up,
bro,
the possibility of Iranian retaliation against the countries of the region. That would be a disaster. So I think the president wisely extended the ceasefire, and I think what you
Yeah, Taco, man. He extended the ceasefire because it doesn't benefit him to continue the conflict, bro. Look, a Brent of, what was it? Did it go down? It was 99 earlier, now it's sitting at 98. It was $99 earlier, almost broke $100 earlier today.
You have now, Casey, even though you don't have formal negotiations, I think this is an interesting moment for signal passing, whether it's direct or through Pakistan or whatever. Because what you could have, for example, is the United States could signal what we would be prepared to do with standing down the blockade, what we would require of Iran, or we could send some messages about nuclear issues or what have you, or what we would want in order to get the talks restarted. So I actually think this is actually a positive development here.
One of the pieces of this message was him, the president, saying that they're going to wait for the Iranians to come back with a proposal of some sort. And Barack Ravid was on earlier reporting about splits, essentially, between the military and civilian wings of the leadership of Iran. What role do you think that's playing here?
Well, it's both.
The civilian leadership has no power, bro. The IRGC only answers to the supreme leader, Mojtaba. They don't answer to the parliament head. They don't answer to Aragachi. They don't answer even to the president, Pezeshkian. The Iranians have a completely decentralized military infrastructure. That's why even when they didn't have a supreme leader, remember, guys, it took them a couple weeks to get Mojtaba as a supreme leader. They were still bombing out of in all of our bases. Why? Because they have a mosaic defense. They have a mosaic military infrastructure, which basically was created where even if you decapitate the head, the missiles are coming, bro. And that is why Trump deciding to attack the Iranians and kill the supreme leader was the stupidest thing he could have ever done. It did absolutely nothing.
It's ironic and it's serious. It's ironic because the United States is in no small part responsible for it. The United States and Israel, all the targeted killings of Iranian political, clerical, and military leaders created a leadership vacuum. And what you now have is all sorts of people getting their footing, competing with one another. So it doesn't come as any surprise.
And it doesn't matter because the IRGC is going to go off of base what Ali Khamenei said, which Ali Khamenei already had 7 layers. For those of you that don't know, guys, Ali Khamenei literally had, before he died, the supreme leader prior to Mojtaba Khamenei, his son, he had 7 layers of succession ready to go. Literally had 7 layers of succession. Also, just so you guys know, when they killed him, bro was sitting in his house. He wasn't sitting in his bunker. He was sitting in his house. If he had sat in his bunker, he would have lived. That's why they had to come back and bomb the government building several times over because they found out they didn't actually destroy everything. Dude was sitting in his office when they bombed him and killed him, which is above ground. Let's see here. What's the latest? Actually, let's look here. Let's see how Fox News spins this.
We want to bring you some breaking news here on Live Now from Fox. If you take a look at your screen, this statement coming moments ago from President Trump on Truth Social, saying, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and
because J.D. Vance was supposed to go and he didn't.
Upon the request of the Field Marshal and Prime Minister
I got you, guys.
of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives.
Also, going back to war is only going to hurt him, bro. It's not going to help at all. It's only going to hurt.
Can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. That's signed President Donald J. Trump. This, of course, comes as that ceasefire with Iran was set to expire on Wednesday. This is a big story that we will continue tracking for you here on Live Now from Fox. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Anna Marsick.
Yeah, he doesn't have a choice, bro. He had to extend the ceasefire. starting the war again would absolutely, and here's the thing, we're getting closer to midterms, bro.
If you are just
He's in a very bad spot right now, Donald Trump, man.
joining us, we are
Politically.
following some breaking news. This statement coming from the White House saying, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of the Field Marshal and Prime Minister of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and, in all other respects, remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until.
Also, the Gulf states can't keep getting attacked. Guys, that's the other thing you guys got to remember is like, he cannot continue to allow and the Gulf states to keep getting destroyed by these bro, hitting them with bombs. Like, guys, keep in mind that, like, if he attacks Iran, Iran is going to retaliate by attacking the Gulf states. And the Gulf states just invested a whole bunch of money in us, okay? So it's like, bro, what? And the Gulf states are pissed off.
Discussions are concluded one way or the other. That's signed President Donald J. Trump. Once again, that breaking news just coming in moments ago. And right now we are waiting for an event to get underway at the White House where President Donald Trump is going to host more than 100 collegiate champions from different sports and universities to celebrate the NCAA Collegiate National Champions. Another look at a different advantage plate right now of that event that.
Okay, so obviously Fox News is going to be, they're going to say, not going to say what it really is, of course. They're going to, okay, hold on. Let's go Iran, ceasefire. What's the latest? Okay, so he says ceasefire until discussions are, that's funny.
We have some breaking news in the war with Iran. President Trump just released.
Drum towel, shout out to you.
Released a statement moments ago. Let's get right to CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, what's the very latest?
Hey, Liz, good to see you. I told you there were a lot of developments today. In the last 10 minutes since we just spoke, there was one more very big development. President Trump on Truth Social just wrote, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured and upon the request of the Field Marshal.
I love how he says that. You mean our economy is fractured.
Of Pakistan and their prime minister, he says, quote, we have been asked to hold.
Iran said that they're not going to go to the meetings, bro. Iran said they're not going to go to the meetings. And what did he do? Trump folded.
Hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready.
So, bro, by doing the blockade, that doesn't help. Bro is still doing the blockade. Like, what? They're not going to honor the ceasefire, bro. Like, what?
Ready and able. The president goes on to say, I will therefore extend the ceasefire until such a time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other.
Mike Dixie says, I just learned Colorado's Green River Formation contains an estimated 4.285 trillion barrels of oil we can tap one day in the future. Yeah, again, bro, you got to remember oil, right? So the reason why oil is so expensive, bro, and why we feel it, even though we don't need the Strait of Hormuz like they claim, the United States is a very oil-dependent country, bro, okay? Let me break this down for you guys. Like, this is why you guys got to stop, like, watching these rich people on the news. When Trump says, oh, our oil, we only use 10% or 15% of the oil that goes through Strait of Hormuz, like, we don't need that oil. Well, if that's the case, why were you guys all paying double for gas over the past couple of weeks? Why are the gas prices still high now? I'll tell you why. Despite the fact that the United States makes a lot of oil, despite the fact we have our own refineries, despite the fact that we got Venezuela, okay, oil is an international commodity, okay? Crude is an international commodity. We live in a globalized world, okay, chat? So regardless of whether us selling our oil or us having oil or whatever the may be, it doesn't matter because oil, since it's an international commodity, the markets are based off of it being an international commodity, not a US-based commodity. Also, even though we make our own oil, the reason why the United States is super sensitive, right? Because this is what you guys need to pay attention to. Why is the United States so sensitive to oil volatility, even though we make all our own oil? Did you ever think about that? Listen up, chat. Why is the United States so sensitive to oil volatility, even though we make our own crude and we took over Venezuela? Did you ever think about that? I'll tell you why. Because the United States is heavily dependent upon oil, okay? It is extremely dependent upon oil. We laugh at renewable energy. We laugh at electric vehicles. It's a minority of our market. Did you ever think about that? So even though We might produce a lot of our own oil, and we took over Venezuela. The reason why the United States is so volatile, based on volatility of oil, why our oil prices go up crazy when there's any type of tremor in the market, is because the United States in of itself, our infrastructure is based on oil. Do you get that? Even China doesn't deal with the same level of volatility from oil spikes as we do. China is the leader in renewable energy, okay? The leader in renewable energy, solar panels, etc. We laugh at renewable energy. We think, global warming is a scam, which I'll be honest, it is in a lot of ways. China already has a bunch of electric vehicles. Something like 40 to 50% of their vehicles are electric. Why do you think we don't sell Chinese EVs in America? You ever thought about that, chat? Why do we not sell Chinese EVs in America? Because they would put Tesla out of business. That's why. They would make Elon Musk poor. That is why. There's electric cars in China that go for $10,000 US. $10,000. Meanwhile, the cheapest Tesla is what? $40K? They don't want you to know that though. This is the real red pill that no one wants to tell y'all, bro. So when Trump or these MAGA they're sitting there telling you like, oh, well, we don't even care. We don't need that oil. We only use a minority of the oil that comes through the Strait of Hormuz. It's not that big a deal. We make our own oil. That doesn't matter because we have a big economy, okay? And our economy is heavily reliant upon oil to make things move. We don't have the same level or advancement when it comes to renewable energy. So anytime something happens with oil in the world, we feel it immediately. And we feel it a lot more than other countries. And if you don't believe me, look at your gas prices. If you don't believe me, just look at your gas prices. We just got Venezuela. We got all our own oil. Drill, baby, drill. But y'all niggas still paying twice at the pump. Someone says I wouldn't trust a Chinese EV. Okay, if you wouldn't trust a Chinese EV, why don't we sell them here in America then? If you wouldn't trust them. If they suck so much, why don't we sell them in America? You ever thought about that? Tesla will go out of business tomorrow if China sold their EVs here. There's a reason why they're banned. We bring everything else from China. Why don't we bring the EVs? I wonder why. And these are very difficult conversations that no one wants to have. No one wants to talk about this. Some reason I already know in the chat's going to say, Myron, are you going to be a China tard? No, I'm very aware, though, of how much of a danger China is to the United States. Meanwhile, our dumb monkey are sitting in the Middle East fighting wars for Israel while China is investing. We're destroying. China's building relationships and investing. Building relationships. We're destroying relationships. They're not as heavily dependent on oil and crude like we are. So, anyway.
Signed from the President of the United States. So,
matter of fact, let's have fun with this. Yo, guys. Someone says, Myron, are you a CCP op? Are you bro? Anyway, do me a favor, guys. I want all of you guys to type in here, okay? Type in how much you paid for oil before the war. Sorry, how much you paid for gas before the war versus what you pay now in where you live, okay? How much you paid for gas before the war and how much you pay now and where you live. Okay, so I see all of you guys are up at least $1, at least bare minimum. Okay, now I want you guys to put how much it costs to fill your tank before and what does it cost to fill your tank now. Put your state or where you live and then put what it costs you to fill your tank before then versus what it pays now, what it costs now. Was 30 now 50? Some said I use a bicycle, bro. 74 to 120. Oh God, yeah, you getting cooked. 80 to 120, yeah. So all of you guys are pretty much like almost doubled. 65 to 100, yeah. We're looking at like a 40% increase for half of you guys. 50 to, yeah, somewhere between 40 to 100% increase. That's crazy, bro. So guys, am I lying or what then? You guys are feeling it at the pump? Am I lying? Am I lying? Like you guys are feeling it. So this is how you guys know I'm telling you the truth. So when they tell you on Fox News, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not that big a deal. It is. Only 5% of our oil goes to the Strait of Hormuz. Shut the bro. Shut the up. Then why is gas prices doubled? Especially in America. And in Europe, you guys are getting cooked even harder. You guys are getting cooked even harder in Europe.